So if I might start, I don't know if anybody else wants to do it. You mentioned CVLSP and the need for it, and certainly we've heard that for a few years, but what can you tell us about the status of the acquisition strategy for it, and whether or not the Air Force intends to use the Economy Act has been suggested in reports previously?
The decision right now is with SAF AQ, Mr. Van Buren. We've had a number of discussions with us and our combat command, because of course they have the personnel recovery criteria, to try to make sure that we have the right strategy here, and we'll probably have another meeting or two before there's a formal decision.
And do you have enough time? You've got 2 aircraft in the fiscal year 2012 budget request. Do you have enough time to get all that done and award a contract and get the first 2?
We think we do right now, but if it is delayed, if the decision ends up being delayed too much longer, those dollars, of course, may have to slip.
So is the assumption that there will be some sort of a competition?
No, I mean, I wouldn't say that's an assumption. I think we're going to continue to. Our command has the position that there's an urgent, compelling need, and the Economy Act is the right way to meet the missile field security requirement and the requirement that the National Capital Region has for continuity of operations, continuity of government.
So, forgive my ignorance here. How does the Economy Act actually work to your advantage here?
Well, I think the way it works is it takes time out of the entire acquisition cycle. But I am not I'm an operator and not an acquisition professional, and
but it basically allows you to waive those hoops that you normally jump
it
through.
allows us to, if we have demonstrated an urgent, compelling need, which I think we have, it allows us to most effectively and efficiently buy assets.
But this is only for the members of Congress, I mean.
Well, but this is for the missile fields as well, right?
Right.
Yeah, but our urgent, compelling need is primarily the missile field, but as the lead MAGCOM for the helicopters, we also represent the National Capital Region requirements.
I guess
So
they're and some of the competitors we talk to who really want a chance to compete for this say that, if you're going to replace UH-1, you should go out to the aircraft that have been designed to replace the H-1 to get the best deal possible, make sure the taxpayer gets the best deal. I mean, what do you think about that? Are you any concern that by avoiding competition, you might not get the best deal for the taxpayer?
That decision's above my level. My mission is to safe, secure, and effective operations for our nuclear arsenal. And in my mind, I've got an urgent and compelling need that I've had since at least 1996 in terms of speed, range, and payload to get forces out to those missile silos that are furthest from the base. And UH-1 does not meet that need. It's not met the need since '96. And how much nationally, those decisions are made clearly above my level. But how much longer are we willing to wait and take this risk?
If you balance between range and speed, which one matters to you more?
Yes. There is a time requirement and there's a range requirement, and that's a fixed requirement. So it's got to do both. It's got to get there. It's got to get there with the payload, and it's got to get there in the timeline.
But would you weight speed more than you would range, or?
Like I said, there's a range that it has to meet, and there's a timeline it has to meet. And if the helicopter can meet those, then I'm satisfied. If the current one doesn't, so I'm unsatisfied.
You don't. If one has more speed than the other, as long as it meets the minimum requirement, you don't really care.
You're probably getting, if it meets my requirement, then we're probably looking at, okay, well then what are the other requirements that the other stakeholders that we represent have, and does that helicopter meet their requirements? Frankly, I think all of the helicopters that have been discussed largely meet those requirements.
Okay.
And if you were to use the Economy Act, how much time does that save you? Or, I mean, what would be the driving reason to go with the Economy Act? I mean, what benefit does the Air Force get out of it?
I think it's the timeliness of the acquisition, and my expectation then is that, again, not being an acquisition professional, but that it, you know, accelerates that process and maybe removes some things that, while nice to do within the acquisition formal structure, when we're trying to do efficiencies and trying to do this the smartest way and give the taxpayers the greatest return on their dollar.
So, forgive my ignorance here, but it seems like we might be talking around a little bit here. Is this allow you to sole source? Is that the goal, to source and bypass a competition?
My goal is to get a helicopter the soonest that meets my requirement. And right now, that would be using the Economy Act.
Which allows you to sole, you don't have to conduct a
Right.
competition.
I can use an existing contract to purchase helicopter.
And that's the 60.
That's the contract that we're looking at.
Sorry, it's just better to coming from you than us. So.
I got a question about this, the single response task force you were talking